And we're live to talk about Crave by Tracy Wolf. Hi, everyone. I'm Paige, and I'm currently hosting because Maddie is currently trying to fix her AC. So we're going to see how this goes. And technically, it was my fault we read this. So if it has been a little worse, I think that's fair. So I'm going to pass it on to everyone so they can introduce themselves and then what your rating / overall thoughts, initial thoughts were about the book if you don't rate.
I'm Kayla. I'm Kate Sharice on TikTok and Twitter, and I don't even know what to rate this book. I don't know if I'm going to. It was an experience with a capital E. So
I'm Jordan from the Jordan Journals, and probably unsurprising to everybody, I actually really enjoyed this. I had a great time reading it. I don't know, like a 3.75, 4. I had a good time.
yeah, all right, Jordan.
And I'm Connor. My channel is just Connor O'Brien. I haven't finished yet, so I'm like 40 minutes away from finishing. So
Fair.
I didn't love it. I didn't love the experience, but I haven't settled on a rating yet.
Yeah. And I haven't, I just finished half an hour ago. So I don't know what I would rate it. Probably around the 2, 1.5, maybe even on the lower end. I love a little bit of trash, but the trash has to be good for me to enjoy it. And I feel like this didn't fall on the good trash level for me. So overall plot for people who have not and will never read this, a girlie's parents dies, and then she ends up going to this boarding school in Alaska. And it turns out, to no one's surprise, this boarding school is full of, they call it Monster High. It's full of different kinds of supernatural creatures. They talk a lot about meta stuff. Legacies is mentioned, the spin-off of the Vampire Diaries show. Also, Twilight was mentioned at one point. So it's very self-aware and nods to itself in that way. Pro or con, we'll discuss that later. But let's talk about Grace. Let's talk about Jackson, the 2 core characters, main characters, if you will. Any other characters that stood out to you? What were your initial thoughts on her as a protagonist and him as the love interest? The silence.
Grace is just I don't know. I had very low expectations going into this because I heard it was kind of like a Twilight fan fiction mishmash. And so the main character was exactly how I thought she would be. She's I'm short and plain, but then everyone loves her. But personality wise, she was just, she was there.
Did she have a personality?
Grateful, yeah, which I appreciated.
She did exactly what every single YA protagonist was in 2008. But I think she had a little bit more I don't know if you want to call it self-awareness.
Spunk.
She was a little spunk more than if we're comparing her to Bella. Which they throw in the reference in the book that she gets a copy of Twilight, but yeah, I feel like it was exactly what I expected this main character to be, and no surprises.
Wow.
What about you, Kayla?
Listening to the audiobook was an experience. I feel like I don't know, it was a lot of internal thoughts and a lot of questions, obviously, and I don't know, she was only there for 5 days and everything was happening, and
yeah,
I don't know.
I thought it was that short of a period of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the fact that all of this happened in 5 days and she's so attached to Jackson, I was yeah, I think I have a lot of questions. But yeah, I will say that she was more spunky. She definitely kind of held her own a little bit. And I was like, dude, these people could kill you at any moment, but okay. She just took it with a grain of salt, and I was like, all right, sure, Jan, but that's just,
she got on board so quickly.
Yeah.
I think my classmates are weird, and then it was, of course, my classmates are vampires.
This mysterious boy is a vampire. I am not leaving now.
Of course he is.
She kind of reminded me.
I guess if I also grew up watching the Legacies she does, I guess if I met a vampire, I'd be like, yeah, that checks out.
But I watched the Vampire Diaries. I would not think that.
She kind of reminds me. I think there might be a delay on my end. She kind of reminds me of Elena in the first season of Vampire Diaries.
Oh,
she
yeah.
definitely with the dead parent thing as well. Like she 100, and apparently, like after going on TikTok, it is very much Stefan and Damon coded with the brothers as well, which shocking to learn. We'll talk about it later. But yeah, so for me, it was just like she's supposed to be like an insert for the reader, very obviously. Like she doesn't really have a personality. She's just very much like, oh, this is how anyone would react, with a grain of salt. I think anyone, as in like the people who were like intended for this book would react to being in this story if they were down to be with a vampire.
Yeah, completely agree with that.
Yeah. And what about Jackson? How do we feel about him? Flint. Who else was it? What was the name of the cousin? I can't remember her name.
Macy.
Okay. Yeah.
Macy reminded me of the roommate in Wednesday. Like
I never saw
over the
Wednesday.
top bubbly and like, oh, everything is great, blah blah blah. And then she just kind of goes with the flow when the main character is like, no, we're doing it this way. And she's like, okay, I guess the vampire is cool.
I guess if you mentioned that she is like supposed to, like, it's very Vampire Diaries fan fiction, she kind of has some like Caroline qualities.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is really bad, but look over here.
Yeah.
Party.
Yes. Yeah.
I see it.
Giving, again, Caroline season 1 Vampire Diaries.
Yeah, stress season 1 there.
yeah, season 1. Yeah. I thought Jackson, again, what personality, his entire plot line, I was explaining it to my flatmates today about the story of him killing his brother and them being like, oh, I don't feel bad about that at all. I mean, I feel bad that he's dead, but it was worth it or whatever. I feel like he was like meant to be like this deep, dark, brooding guy, but again, it was a knockoff Edward in a way. But also like a knockoff Stefan.
I feel like it was more of a knockoff Stefan. Yeah, now that you said that, I'm not gonna unsee it.
See, I would say like Damon instead of Stefan, but like maybe like a hybrid.
Well, I think the brother.
Oh,
supposed to be Damon.
Yeah. Well, the brother's not even there yet, and I'm not reading book 2. So
that is fair. Yeah.
I mean, he shows up in the smoke at the end.
That's true.
Yeah, a little smoke tornado.
There was smoke, but I don't remember there being the brother yet. So
okay. So Connor didn't read the last 40 pages.
The brother, yeah.
40 minutes,
is the brother.
40 minutes. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that is Hudson.
Yeah.
They
attacked them.
They hinted early on that he wasn't dead.
I feel like all the plot twists, like the witch being bad, I was like, oh, shocker. Like, didn't see that coming. But yeah.
Well, since we don't have a lot to say about the characters because they're all stereotypical characters, let's move on to the plot of this book because I feel like a lot happens and nothing happens at all.
At all. At all. I was like 300 pages in and I'm like, she went to this boarding school. It's been 2 days. She's in love already. Like, nothing's happening.
There's a snowball fight.
To like 2
Very
classes.
important.
Yeah, 2 classes. That is fine. Like, it's fine that she's missing class or whatever.
We'll just start class tomorrow.
Yeah.
Every day. It's like, we'll just try again tomorrow. You almost died today. We'll just try again tomorrow.
Yeah.
They also do that really annoying thing where they use like her being unconscious to make time pass.
Yes, that is very.
But get no time passes. Like this book felt really slow.
Yeah.
I can't explain it. It was bizarre. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, Maddie said something really interesting in the comments. She said that like it took so long for her to realize she was in a supernatural school, but we knew all along, and it was kind of like dragging. And I definitely agree with that.
It was 50% before they said anything about supernatural creatures.
Yeah.
It would have been so much better had she started figuring it out ahead of time and then like testing things and like trying like I don't know. I felt like the supernatural elements were kind of fumbled because you could have explored that so much more, which would have been really cool and interesting while like everything else is happening. But there's no like, it's just like the vampire can float and control everything, and like, what are the limits of his powers?
Like literally, the word dragon appeared, and I was like, Okay.
You knew from the moment there was a dragon statue. You're like, this is
I was like,
hilarious.
I'm not interested. And if you know me, like, I'd be like, yeah. But anyway,
Yeah. How do we feel about? Are we done with books set in schools at this point? Especially when it's a like supernatural school, especially when the person is not one of the supernatural people. I feel like it's overdone now, especially with the TikTok books. Listen, we'll get to for anyone who's watching, she becomes a gargoyle somehow at the end of the book.
I will say that threw me for a loop. I did not see the gargoyle coming.
Which, because gargoyles were they mentioned at all?
I think once. I think once or twice. Like,
she talks about gargoyles in the library and how cool she thinks the statues are. And now that I said that, I'm thinking, are they not actually are they
statues?
People?
Yeah, are they
definitely people?
Yeah.
But then, was her mom a gargoyle? But then why would the dad lose his magical powers, which was the entire world building element of
Did
this?
he really lose them?
And then her parents were killed on purpose. I was like, oh my god, her parents were killed on purpose. I was like, what?
But that wasn't surprising to me. Yeah,
really?
The Vampire Diaries element of it.
Oh, that's true. That's true. That's true. I forgot.
Yeah. Nobody dies on purpose or have parents that die on purpose and then get taken to a
supernatural school.
Yeah, like that. There's no accident there.
Dracula High, I'm gonna call it.
Nice.
Was she always a gargoyle? Is that why they wanted to kill her?
I'm guessing. I don't.
Because the one girl who tries to kill her or whatever, it's like, I'm not gonna waste my time on a regular human. So and at the beginning of the book, she fends off the werewolves herself for a little bit, and she throughout the book does magical things without realizing it. So I'm like, what was she that
I'm going to guess that there is some kind of magical
hybrid
spell on her.
Oh, okay.
That probably broke at some point when her parents died. I've read too many books like this.
Or her dad didn't lose his magic or something, and he put a spell. There was a spell put on her to protect her in some way, which is the gargoyle thing.
Yeah,
maybe. Wow, not us trying to lore build this book.
we always do that. We
always.
So the gargoyle bit surprised us all. Was there anything else that really stood out to you about the events that took place in this, which there were few and far between?
I was kind of surprised that the lore of the vampires was Jackson can do whatever he wants. I was so there's not really the bounds to being a vampire that I expected to be on him. Wind and levitating things.
And they can go out in the sunlight without
that's animal blood. They're drinking animal blood so they can go in the sun. But if they drink human blood, then
it's
they get
a week.
And then they have to be inside for a bit until the enzyme wears off.
Yeah.
That's the one bit of building that was okay. You tried to explain this.
I get the feeling that towards the end there, she's his weakness, but it's been 5 days. I don't understand. I just don't get it.
And then we learned there's a little bit of some kind of magical families with the vampires that go back, and then there's some that are born and some that are made. But you can be born to a human, which is a weird concept.
Yeah.
Vampire born to a human.
Yeah, so getting into the world building,
go ahead.
Is what the same with the others?
Do we find out if dragons are the same, or is it?
So dragons are technically shifters. They shift into dragon form like a werewolf would shift into a wolf.
But they're not actually werewolves. They're wolf shifters. So they're not dependent on the moon.
Twilight.
They can they can whenever they want.
But there are werewolves who are tied to the moon. Again, Twilight.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think.
So world building. How did we feel? How strong was that?
I feel like it was the lowest hanging fruit. She just took what someone else has already made and just kind of did it. I don't know. There wasn't any cool twists on anything that we haven't seen already. So it was fine, but just kind of very loose. And like we were talking about, like none of the different creatures or species have anything that's like keeping them within bounds. So it's really just kind of an all-out, anyone can do anything because they all have magic and they're all able to do everything, basically.
I guess my brain just kind of filled in all the world building for it with a bunch of other knowledge of things that I have known from other media because it is so familiar to so many other things. Which I think she might be relying on the reader to do. Maybe it was intentional.
Well, didn't we read a book that was like this, that did the same thing? Oh, it was the, was it Rebecca Yarros? She like didn't world build a whole lot, or was it?
I haven't read that book.
Me neither.
Did you read that in your own time, Connor?
The first
was
one,
it
we read it
Vampire
for book club.
Academy?
Or maybe that was the one.
We didn't read Fourth Wing.
We didn't read Fourth Wing for sure.
We did not.
Are you sure? I thought we
Oh,
talked
I'm
about it.
sure. I'm sure.
I'm gonna look it up
We read
now.
Vampire Academy.
Yeah, we read Vampire Academy. Which was Vampire Academy was better than this. At least there was more like world building in the sense of like at least there was consistencies in who could do what and like the division of the world. Like there was some logic to it versus here I feel like there was not any sense of logic. Like I had the same questions she did for half of the time, except I got no answers and neither did she. We were on the same level the entire book. She was okay with it. I was not. The one question I get is the like when she's like, "Oh, you don't have any mirrors in here." Again, the thing she chose to dive into, like the mirror thing, like I just was like, I didn't need that answered. I needed more of like the world explained to me.
And like, why that specific part of vampire lore did you choose to keep?
Yeah, I'm surprised the garlic didn't come up. Like, where was that in this? Yeah.
She also like makes a comment at the end of the book that she learns what the giant Gatorade tubs are for. She's like, "Oh, that's where they keep all the animal blood to feed the vampires." And I'm like, "Why is this?" I forgot about the giant Gatorade tubs.
Oh my god. Also,
yeah,
go Connor.
I just think that there was so much room that she could have like. Because she barely goes to school and she like doesn't learn anything about anything, like there's so many questions that just are unanswered currently that I'm like, so I feel like maybe it's gonna happen in the second book, but I'm not gonna read it. So
I don't have any faith that you get. I think you'll get more questions the further in you go. I don't think you get more answers.
I'm not even confident that she's gonna get to go to school in the second book. Like the school's just like a background at this point.
She's like doing Britlet homework at one point.
Does she?
No.
So in the gargoyle thing, does she become a statue?
Yeah.
Yes.
Like,
that's how the book.
She cannot move.
A statue.
She can't move. And we learn it through Jackson's point of view. Like he's like freaking out because she's this statue, and he's like yelling at her uncle, right? Her uncle, or whatever. Yeah. And she, I don't know. That's all we really got.
The only way she can return from statue form is if she wants to. So she's either doesn't want to turn back or she's dead.
Yeah.
Oh.
And now he thinks already that she's not turning back because Flint is not Flint. What's her brother's Hudson? Like has her and said like threatened Jackson's life or something. So now he's worried that she's staying in that form for him.
After 5 days.
All right.
We also learned that Jackson is 200 years old.
Yes.
Well,
they said that he wasn't old. So they lied.
And we also learned that she's the first gargoyle in like 1,000 years. Is that right? Or something like that? I forget exactly what they said.
They're like really surprised about her being a gargoyle.
Yes. Very like, wow, this is new. Brand new information.
Yeah. Yep.
Wait, he's 200?
Yes.
They said in the book that he wasn't like ancient. That's old.
Well, he's not ancient.
Or how old dragons get? We don't know because we don't have any answers to
200 could be a baby.
So the only like gauge we get and like what 200 means is that it's very early on in their life to find a mate. and they're mated.
Okay.
Jordan, I don't know how you're remembering all this because literally I listened to this book on like 3 speed.
Jordan has secretly moved on in the series and is probably on book 4.
I thought about it.
You started book 2?
I was like, I wonder if I should start that.
Oh my god.
You should have,
yeah,
because then
I
we
feel
would have had answers.
Yes, you should have continued for us. That would have been useful. 'Cause I feel like the one thing that was annoying to me was it felt like she was just in a regular boarding school, except there was like slightly weird things happening to her. Like there wasn't really like the supernatural element of it was so like just pasted on top. Like it was like, oh, we have to make it interesting by making them like dragons instead of like werewolves. And so like because of that, she, like you said, Jordan, relied on us having our own lore in our brains to fill in all the very large blanks, which I did not do because as Kayla, I was also listening to this very quickly, even though the narrator also spoke very quickly. So at some points I was listening on 1.5.
Yeah.
So I found like even just listening on that, I felt like it wasn't fleshed out in any terms. Like there was no plot, the characters had no personalities, and then the world building didn't exist. So it was just like a big like nothing burger for me of a book at points.
And there could have been a really cool plot line with the mystery of like who is trying to kill her, and like they totally missed out.
They made it too obvious. Yeah. And you're like, of course it's the girl that lost her boyfriend, and of course Flint is kind of weird because he's always around when the weird shit is happening. Like,
and of course she saw Leah chanting in the library with a mysterious book.
Yeah,
and she's like, oh, look at her go, practicing an ancient language. Like she's chanting.
I didn't track that girl was a witch until way later, because I thought she was a vampire. Because
she's a vampire.
Oh, okay, she is.
Yeah, she's a vampire.
Oh, but they all have magic. That's right. So they're all basically like, why even have witches if everyone also can do the same magic?
Well, everyone could do everything in this book. That was the other issue I had. It's like there was no rules to who could blow wind because the dragons could do it. The vampires could do it. Like what was happening in this? That's why I was so confused. I was like, I don't understand anything that's happening right now. And like there was no like romance for me to like. Normally I'm like, oh, it's fine because I can like swoon over these two, like haha, whatever. No.
The dragon can also blow fire and ice, which I thought was weird.
Okay, a little nod to George Martin. Threw it in there as well.
And again, I was like,
still two different dragons, not the same dragon.
Oh, yeah.
And she's roasting marshmallows.
That is the one thing I remember is him roasting marshmallows. She's like, oh, you're good at this. And he's like, I've been doing it for a while. I'm like, how long have you been roasting marshmallows? Have you been practicing?
How long have you been 19?
Have you been 19?
200 years, Connor.
Yeah, 200 years.
Oh my gosh.
How do we feel about the... No, go, Jordan.
I do agree that like you could have very easily just put this at like a boarding school and taken all of the like supernatural stuff out and just made somebody try to be a serial killer, like murdering her. Ooh, and it would have been more or less the same thing.
Yeah. It would have been. There was nothing really making it like super, like even the dragon, like you said, that wasn't interesting to me. The idea, I was like, how big are the dragons? That's the question I have that I don't think I'll get an answer to. Is how big, because he was flying through a school hallway at some point. And I'm like, how big is the school highway? Yeah. I'm like, how big is underground? How big is the dragon? Like, is it like a little bat energy? Like, I'm curious about the sizes.
Is it like Toothless? Or is it like Drogon?
Yes, exactly. And it's not very terrifying if it is Toothless. It's just giving Toothless energy.
The only thing she confirmed is that they do have wings. Because she's like, does that mean Flint has wings? They were like, yeah.
Has wings. The bare minimum.
Yeah, bare minimum.
You need those two things. And a long neck, maybe. Like, throw that in.
And a long neck.
Well, yeah. And he fully transformed. So I'm assuming, like,
yes,
a mid-size at least.
I need answers, and I will not be reading forward to get the answers. So I will go on.
I don't even
how many books
need the answers. I don't even know that I need the answers. 6 books.
And they're all out somehow already, even though it's been 4 years since that first book.
She's released like 2 books a year.
Yeah.
That's insane. That's why there's no world building plot or character personality traits in any, at least the first book.
And this book is
So
long.
much fun.
Yeah.
They're
Like-
long too. I've seen people holding them up in their little TikToks when I was doing my research after. I don't.
So long.
What were people's general opinions on this on TikTok?
Oh, on TikTok, they love it.
Oh
They
yeah.
love it. They're
Oh
like,
yeah.
they're like, this is
Oh, yeah.
their alley.
I'm having so
They
much
eat it
fun.
up.
It's like giving like Jordan's energy, where it's like, this was horrible, but I had the time of my life.
I would just like to say, as a certified fanfic
Okay.
expert, this is not as good as fanfic. So I don't want to talk
Oh,
about the comparisons between this and fanfic. Just wanted to put a disclaimer out there.
It's giving like when the studios like take a good IP and they like turn it into something like watered down just because they don't want to. Like it's giving that energy. It's giving
Yeah,
like someone
definitely.
had rebooted Vampire Diaries, even though it's been like 5 minutes since it was out. Like that was what I felt like. To me.
I almost wish this was more campy and leaned into it.
Yeah.
It leaned into it though. It was giving Gen Z voice. It was giving. We know we were watching Legacy
Because he
we were
was
taught that
sexy
Spider-
AF. This book uses, I don't know, it's just, I listened to it.
No.
This book,
Yeah,
No,
so
no.
did I.
Every other page.
Yeah.
it's everything is something AF. I was like,
Every
oh
other
my
page.
God.
I feel like it says the actual words. In
It
the text,
does.
'cause I don't remember the AF thing.
Is there
I
some,
went
is there
back and
something with
forth.
audiobooks
So
that you can't like curse too much?
it's weird.
Maybe it's like an age restriction thing for cursing in the audiobook. But
In the audiobook.
what got me was when she used hella. She used the word hella in hella. I was just thinking sometimes when I would hear things, I'm like, is that exactly how it's spelled? Like, I'll be like, is that how it's written? I almost wish I had a physical copy of this
Yeah.
book, so I could have read it with my eyeballs. Because I feel like that's missing a lot.
Yeah,
It
that's
very
why-
much gave like stream of conscious the way that she would speak out loud.
Oh, yeah,
as she thought
definitely.
in her head.
Mm.
Yeah.
Very
So it was spelled
interesting.
It was jarring to like have that as a book.
Yeah.
And I'm sure she's trying to be like, oh, I'm making it realistic because this is how a teenager would actually talk. But again, there's a reason that people are not supposed to write exactly how we speak because it reads really awkwardly. And also it's going to date the shit out of this book even more than it being like a boarding school supernatural book.
Yeah.
Already dates it in like the time period.
And also, like, the descriptions of things, like, I was screenshotting stuff on the Kindle app because it was free to download and sending it to Laura, and I was like, the school is big, like, really, really big. Like, just, like, different words like that. I was like, what are you doing? Oh, man, I'm like...
Dated
My
AF.
favorite part.
This is
my
going to be
favorite-
dated AF.
My favorite part of the book, I gotta say, those chapter titles.
Oh.
They're sending me through the roof every time I heard a chapter title. That was my favorite. I need to just pull some up while we are here.
It was actually, not to compare this to Percy Jackson, but, like, it reminded me of the Percy Jackson chapter titles. Like,
yeah. No harm, all foul. Baked Alaska is more than just a yummy dessert. Nothing says I like you like a fang to the throat. Like, it was just every time there was a new chapter, I was like, ooh, when's it gonna be this time? Let's go. It was so good.
But see, that was like, that's the opportunity that she could have leaned into the camp and just
Yes.
She really could have.
Yeah.
blown. It's just satire, says Maddie.
I wish it was satire. I wish if it was satire, that would make this. But then no, because it doesn't even have the quality of it being like, oh, this is like fun to read as satire. I think it's not, just because of what I've seen people say about the later books and how they're shipping brother against brother with this girl. Yeah, so I think.
wait, there's a love triangle?
Oh, bro, there's a love
This
triangle.
is a 2008
There is a
book
love
written
What?
in 2020.
and Jackson. People do not ship her with Jackson. They ship her with Hudson, the genocidal maniac.
Okay.
What
Okay.
about Flint? When does he come into the picture? The guy that tried to kill her.
I don't think he's part of the
I don't
love
think he's part
triangle.
of it. If he is, that
He
gets
could
real
be
fun.
the next.
The rhombus. The
What is
rhombus.
it? Shattermean? Is it Shattermean, the guy with
have more than.
Well,
Isn't
I'm
it
just saying the one
Warner
guy's like a total
and-
jerk. Yeah.
Yeah,
In the first
Warner.
book, you hate
Yeah.
Warner.
What's the other guy's name?
It
Adam?
also.
Adam?
Adam?
Yeah, I don't think Flint is meant to be a love
Yeah.
interest. I think
I agree.
just because like also like he wasn't really like a jerk in the sense like where he was like, oh, there was like that bit where he was like trying to choke her out, not in a sexy way. And,
You said it, not me.
and he was like really upset. He was killing her. He was like, my bad, dude. Like, I wish I didn't have to do this to you. But
Choke,
this has
choke.
to happen so that we don't get Hudson back. So yeah, from that moment, I was like, okay, so he's not like her love interest because he would feel like a lot more conflicted. He'd like be trying to like kiss her at some point during this book, I swear.
Well,
so I think he's best.
he stole what's the werewolf from Twilight's name? Jacob. Jacob's line's like, when I'm flirting with you, it'll be when you want me to, or whatever.
Yeah, you'll know it. You'll know it.
Like his like kiss line or whatever. The next time we kiss, she'll ask for it or something.
I was sort of getting vibes that he was supposed to be with the cousin. Like it was giving.
That's what I thought too.
Or like Caroline and
Tyler.
Yeah, it was sort of giving like that. I was like, oh, they're gonna be together probably at some point because they.
But we don't mix the
cousin. It's so weird.
She seems like he's going to become like a best friend. Oh yeah, like
she does go ahead.
I was just saying, I think that Flint is going to become like a best friend character. I guess like a friend character.
Yeah.
I was saying it's weird that the cousin Macy, she doesn't even like her boyfriend.
Is he real?
Cam or something like that.
Did we see him with our eyes on the page?
Like
yes.
Did we?
They were at like the lunch table too.
Okay.
The lunch table too, or something.
I won't lie, the writing was so bland to me that I would start thinking about other things when I was listening to the audio, and then I would tune back in. And apparently I missed little things like meeting Cam. But I still got the gist. Oh, she sat on his lap at the tea party. That also happened where I remember the strawberry. I remember Jackson eating the strawberry because that was mentioned like 6 other times in the book. Yeah. Yeah, and it hurt his
because it was sexy AF.
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 I love that he admits, I don't really know why I did that either. I just felt empowered to eat the strawberry.
Again, no one has any answers for anyone in this book. He didn't know why he ate the strawberry. Pretend you were human. That is the answer. Any other thoughts about this? I feel like we really, for a book that doesn't really have a lot happening for it. Maddie, if you have more to shout about it now via the comments. Because,
30 minutes is a lot for this book.
But it was 500 pages.
Yeah.
Which is
crazy.
Insane. Oh,
yeah.
See, I didn't know there were end actions because I was listening to this on the end 2.75 speed. So, there were. Really, I will give the narrator, she spoke at a correct pace because the fact that I had to listen to this at 1.5 for most of it shows that you're actually talking the way people normally talk. And maybe it's because it was written the way it was written.
I think, because of how it was written, it would be weird to talk slowly through that.
Fantasy is gaining power by proximity. Yeah. No, I definitely agree with that completely. Yeah, this book I was expecting. Okay, also, confession now. We're at the end of this. A confession. This was not the book that I had actually intended to recommend. I used it with another book.
PAIGE!
PAIGE! Because I was about being written in 2020, and I was like, the book I'm thinking about was a book my friend was reading when we were teenagers. So I was like, oh, this very clearly is not.
No wonder in the group chat you were freaking out. It's like, it came out in 2020?
I was like, oh, wait a minute. This is not
my God, PAIGE.
So the book that I'm trying to find the Thirst by Christopher Pike was the book that I actually intended for us to read because I remember my best friend reading it when I was a kid. Me not liking it. Like me not like thinking it was like a rip-off of Twilight and being like, oh, I never read it. I wanted to read it. So apologies for you for this. This is not the torture I had intended. It was a different kind of torture. And now we have read this. Jordan, we've introduced you to a series that you might continue.
Yeah, there you go, Jordan.
I was like, I
this series. Is anyone gonna?
Jordan, if you continue, no, I don't even care. Don't tell us.
I do. I want to know if she.
No, I'm just kidding.
I want to
Yeah,
know
tell
the
us-
reason why she turns into a golem.
Yes, I
or
want to know
whatever
that
she is, a
too.
gargoyle.
And how long
Yes.
she stays a gargoyle.
As a gargoyle.
Maddie, are you
Yes.
continuing for the content?
Do you think she just stays? Do they just leave her in the hallway forever as a gargoyle? Or do they move her out of the hallway? I mean, she's a statue.
Well,
It could be
Wait,
heavy.
They move her, it's like the stone, like down, like how heavy? I mean, she can't be that heavy. They just lift her up, right? Surely.
I mean,
Is she a marble
stone.
statue?
No, she's stone. Well, she
Let-
classified as kind of stone, so she could be marble.
Listen, Jackson can
I
do
mean, maybe they
everything, so I'm
could
sure he could
levitate
lift.
her.
Yeah, I'm sure anything
Yeah.
can, like, he can move her.
And there must
So.
be a reason that she is forced to stay.
Bonnie, I'm going to
And that's
continue
why.
AF.
What?
I will be continuing vicariously through anyone else who does. I just simply, if I could have focused on the first book, I don't think I can focus on the rest.
Did you read the bonus chapters from Jackson's point of view?
No.
Besides the she persisted, there was more besides that.
There were 3 other chapters that were rewritten from Jackson's point of view.
Oh.
Oh God, no. How
One
was
of
that?
them is like the scene where he goes to, well, he talks about like how they're mated and how he knows they're mated, and he goes and tries to find a spell to break their mating bond without telling her against her will. But he goes to it's the scene where he goes to the mountain, like way far away.
Okay. Yes.
And he meets, I think, his mother, maybe a queen of some kind, and she
She
goes
doesn't
off.
sound like a good person.
She
does
doesn't.
not.
She really doesn't. But she flies away like an angel, like with wings.
Well, he can fly, right?
Like
He
he
can
doesn't have
float.
wings.
Oh, he can float.
He can float.
Connor's like float.
It was a dance floating situation with the aurora
There were the
borealis.
northern lights. But yeah, she had wings, like
Hmm.
angel wings. I don't know if that was his mom or if that was somebody else, but
Maybe
I
she's a
was
dragon.
intrigued.
Oh my God.
She
There's
gave
no
him the
rules in
spell
this.
to break the mating bond.
Oh, so he can.
Well, then at the end, he ripped it up into pieces and threw it into a trash can, but it wasn't set on fire, so somebody definitely
Someone's
found it.
gonna put that back together. And
Someone definitely found it.
Okay. Okay. See, I understand why you're intrigued now. I'm like, okay, that gives me a little bit more. That gave me more than the actual book did. Why was that just included?
I was
feel
like
we're gonna fix
contemplating, do I read the chapters from Jackson's perspective? I really think that they're necessary? But it says, like, read these chapters and everything will be changed forever. And I was like, okay, fine. You got me.
I love it. I love it.
It would have been fixed if they not fixed. I don't think we could fix this, but it could have been improved and more enjoyable in a way if they'd like done dual perspective, like his chapter, her chapter, sort of like classic YA romance.
Because at least
Because
we would have
the
gotten the
last-
supernatural angle from his point
Yeah.
of view. Like, at least it wouldn't have been
him
like.
knowing that, like, him knowing what's happening.
Yes.
And her not, like, at least he would get some sort of like something interesting happening more than her being like, I wonder what's happening right now. I wonder why. Like, can they eat like that? Yeah,
But he
I
ate
agree,
a
Matt.
strawberry.
No, I would have like trimmed like 200 pages off of this and then did dual point of view. I think it would have been
Oh,
better.
I would have done dual point of view. I agree. And that's what we need.
The fact that it ended on a Jackson chapter makes me think that the second book will
The
have.
book. Oh, yeah. Well,
Two.
it has, because what are we going to get from her perspective? I am a rock. Like,
It's also giving like
But, like, where is she? Is she like in another dimension, another world? Like,
they don't know.
is there a thought? Well, I want to know.
There are no thoughts in her head.
She's a rock.
Well,
Yeah.
speaking of like callbacks to like 2008, this is definitely giving like that end of first book where they're going to be separated the entire time in book 2 or whatever.
Oh, yeah. And you know what? Because Hudson needs to come in and he needs to be charming and he needs to give her love triangle. That's why they're stuck together somewhere. It's giving when Damon and Bonnie get stuck in that alternate world
Yes.
in like
Yes.
season 5 or whatever of Vampire Diaries. Again,
And they had to become
Vampire Diaries are
friends.
off. Yeah, but that was better. I don't think. But then part of me is curious because I'm like, why do so many people ship Hudson and Grace? And now I'm like, but what about the genocide, guys?
He was just misunderstood, Paige.
No,
It wasn't really to kill people.
Like I'm here for red flags. I'm here for red flags, but I don't understand.
I'm so confused by, and that's what makes me want to read the second book, just so I can understand what the people are doing. But I love myself too much to do that, I think.
Yeah, I'm not reading.
I did have like a little bit of on edgeness when they finished the book with them still together. I was like, they're dating at the end of this book. That something's gonna happen. Gargoyle.
Yes, gargoyle. Because the last chapter.
How big is she as a gargoyle? Is she like human size?
I think she's just her size.
I think it's just her. I think it's just
stone.
I think she's like petrified. Like in my head.
Yeah.
Elsa.
She's
like Elsa turns to ice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. The last chapter was titled "Why Can't a Girl Just Have an Ordinary Happily Ever After These Days?" So as soon as you hear that, you're like, "Oh, someone's coming." For? You didn't know what
HEA? Jordan. Jordan. I love you so much. Never change, Jordan, please.
What do you think?
HEA, yes.
What is she like? What's a Kia?
Oh my god. Well, on that note, Jordan is continuing, I'm assuming, in the series. The rest of us will not be. Any final thoughts you want to share with the world on Crave?
Books are hard. I gotta take a win where I can.
No, that's okay.
Reading has not been successful for me. It's been a rough 4 years.
I'm going to get through this entire series now. I want to hear that you finished all 6 books and however many thousands of pages that's going to end up being. I'm excited for you. Next up on the list for us, our next pick is The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo. Correct?
I think.
Very, very excited for that.
I think.
Maddie has informed that I am correct in that. Very excited for that. I've already started it. It's great so far. Hearing her talk about it was really interesting too. Any exciting books on y'all's horizons besides this one? Any wins for everyone but Jordan on what you're reading?
I mean, this was the first published book that I read this year, so.
Oh,
wow.
Okay, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that this was the first one.
Yeah, thanks, babe.
Well, I mean, honestly, it could have been better, but a book's a book.
A book's a book.
A book's a book. All right. Well, we will see you guys maybe later this month.
I'm so sad we didn't get to hear Mari's commentary.
I know.
No,
it would have been gold.
You need to make a TikTok so we
would have been
it.
gold.
Yes, please make a TikTok, Mari.
Listen, you were forced to read it. Make content about it at least. Like
you need to make. I'm so sorry. I
don't think Mari. I don't think Mari is finished yet.
Maddie finished it.
Yeah.
Oh, she did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because her text earlier today, I was like, "Oh, that was early on in the book." The one about the getting given Twilight or whatever.
Oh yeah. He gives her Twilight. We didn't talk about that, but and Macy's just laughing in a corner, and I'm just like,
it's so on. But then again, they do that in the Vampire Diaries. That is a literal scene from Vampire Diaries. Damon is reading Twilight in bed with Caroline.
As she's glamored.
This was Twilight fanfic. Not Twilight fanfic. This was Vampire
Diaries.
And that's what I will. Yeah. And if someone currently rewatching it doesn't do justice.
Middleman. All right.
All right. So we'll see you guys later this month or early next month to discuss Leigh Bardugo, and hopefully that is more a resounding success for everyone.
Yes.
The words will be better.
Bye.